When did you photograph that? Just
A couple of weeks ago. Yeah, you know that bit in this film where Pacer talks about Primey kicking that bag of goals in the 2007 Great Flinders Grand Final. Yeah, well, got that footage. May I commend to you the latest edition of the Golden Years of Port Neill.
A lot of leaders, presidents, secretaries of clubs and things, as well as on-field performers as far as football or netball, whatever goes. A lot of the people here have actually gone on to be, like, represent their area really well, or be really good presidents or secretaries or leaders in whatever organisations.
Who were some of those people?
Well, you'll see some Masters and some Primes. Well, Dad was actually president when they closed, but you'll see through here there's a lot of Masters, Frasers, names that are common with the district, Waltons.
Yep.
So back through history they were always around the mark here.
As is on the road out there too.
Yep.
And your grandfather, he played for Wharminda too?
No. My dad actually played for Port Neill, then bought a farm at Wharminda and then came out and played at Wharminda.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
well, I remember when Peter's dad was playing halfback for Wharminda, because that's where Jeff played, was halfback.
Oh yes. Tell me about him as a halfback.
Oh, he was steady. He wasn't really tall enough, but you know, Peter was a lot bigger guy, and he played forward. He was a good full forward, and his younger brother was even better.
Oh, that's interesting. So there was Kennard Football Club involved as well.
Yeah, well, some of those names would have come from there. Kennard.
So they originally played in something called the Carrow Association.
Did they?
Which started about 1920. So they disappeared, well they sort of merged into Wharminda?
I actually don't know, but I'm guessing by some of the names in here, yes they did.
Yeah. So obviously they were around before that then?
They way back to blue and gold.
Yeah. And they
The Wharminda was red and white. Kennard was blue and gold, and they took the colours because the Club Association already had a red and white.
Gotcha. And in fact, Waybacks were minor premiers in 1934. When did you start playing?
1945, when I was 21.
Yeah, there you go. And how were they travelling then?
I was playing in Port Neill then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Port Neill, really.
Oh, okay. So you started with Port Neill, yeah?
With that movie, I started playing in Port Neill. When I married in 1957, we went to Wharminda.
Right.
I can hold these up if you need to. Or
No, I've already got a shot of them. So is your father in one of these photos?
he was captain coach at the 1959 team.
Yep.
Yep.
So he could play a bit?
I never saw him play, but the reports were he was a good, steady halfback, centre halfback.
Really? So not all forwards?
No. I played all my junior football back.
Yeah, really?
Chris started off in the back pocket.
Is that right? How long do you stay in the back pocket?
A lot of Colts. He could always kick a long way.
Yeah.
He can kick a long way, all right. He's a pretty good kick too, for goal.
You want to?
He's a pretty good kick for goal too.
Chris.
Yeah, he never missed a lot.
No, did I, Dick?
He done very well when he played with Norwood too, actually.
How old were you when you started playing?
Me, I'm actually not sure.
He was born in 58, so he must have been 68, I reckon, 10 years old.
What about Chris? How old was he when he started playing?
Well, there was minis then, so
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so a bit different.
He was a bit different. My brother Andrew, 5 years younger than me, he was a bit different too because minis happened so they could start a bit sooner.
So you got any relatives in 1955, or the family hadn't moved up here then? You
No,
were still at Port Neill?
Dad was still at Port Neill.
Yeah. What was the name of this association that they were playing?
I think it was still County Jervois then.
And who was playing in County Jervois?
Cleveland Districts, I reckon.
Cleve,
Yeah, it would have been Cleveland Districts.
Ellsworth Park.
Arna Bay.
Who's that?
Ellsworth Park, I think.
Up near Riddell.
Yeah. Rudell. Cow, two cow sides.
North and South.
Yeah,
And they played in County Jervois.
yeah.
And sorry, who was the other one, Jeff?
Mangalo.
Mangalo.
Thank you, Kath.
Port Neill.
Yes.
Port Neill won the grand final in '63 and '64.
The first games I played for Port Neill, I was only a kid really, in A grade. Wharminda was still going then, so that must have been...
70s?
No, it would have been in 66, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I'm pretty sure they were still going then.
Well, they were, because I think they only folded in about 72. So
Yeah, that'd be right.
How were they going then?
They weren't a bad side because they had David Masters. He played league football, and Adrian was a gun as well.
Played EP.
Played EP. He was a rover type.
Tough.
David was, well, ruckman.
Bit of a legend. Could play a bit.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Obviously, you would have played against them in. Oh. So you actually played against David Masters, you're saying?
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he would have obviously been getting on a bit, but he was still pretty good.
Too right. Yeah, he was gangly, bloody, all elbows, arms, and knees and whatnot. Tough as. Yeah.
So you grew up there as a kid, actually in Port Neill, or?
I went to school. Yeah, in Port Neill. Yep. And then, like secondary school, went to Tumby Bay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But your dad obviously played a lot of footy with Port Neill.
He didn't play a heck of a lot.
Oh, he didn't?
I got all his numbers here.
Oh, okay, what have we got there? What's his stats?
He played 110 for South Whyalla, 61 for South Broken Hill. He coached both those sides.
Oh yeah.
60 for Port Neill, 36 for Boilermakers at Whyalla,
Really?
back in them days. Yeah. 13 for Port Adelaide, only the one season. 13 Whyalla combined, 12 Eastern Eyre Peninsula combined. He started as a kid at Coolunga, I think they were farmers or whatever.
Whereabouts was that?
Over by Red Hill, Coolunga.
Oh, really? So over in mid-north sort of area?
Yeah. What's that? Two
Broken
Broken
Hill combined.
Yeah.
And 12 Eastern Eyre Peninsula combined. He may have even played in one or two of those Mortlock Shield wins that they had. Eastern Eyre Peninsula won 2, I think.
Yeah. What's his name? The ruckman that used to play for them. Alan Aldenhoven, you heard that name? Yeah, he was. I reckon he was butler. He was a bloody champion.
They won 2 in a row.
Yeah, and Dad used to rove to him, and they were a good combination. Yeah.
Alan Aldenhoven, yes.
Aldenhoven, that's
Yeah.
Alan Aldenhoven. He played for Butler.
Yeah.
Yep. So he would have been an opposition to you.
Yeah.
But you would have played in association matches with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I believe he had the unusual distinction of playing in 2 premierships in the 1 year with Butler, and then he went over and played in the North Adelaide Premiership.
I think you might be right.
The same year.
Which was a regular occurrence. Roger Dunn did a similar thing when he was playing.
I remember the first game he played on the Butler Tanks Oval, and they put Alan at full forward. But strangely, they forgot what a good footballer he was. They didn't have the brains to play to him. And they're still trying to play together and kick it over his head for goal. And Alan walking alongside of me, foolish play. The words stuck in my mind.
So you played against him?
Yeah, they were going for 3 premierships in a row.
Yes, they were too, actually.
Golly, what's wrong with this here?
And you knocked them off. Where did you play?
Full back.
Yeah, really? So you're up
That's
against
right.
it? Yep.
Golly.
Yeah, well, Alan Oldenhomer, he played, of course, North Adelaide.
North Adelaide.
Famously, of course, he played in 2 premierships in the 1 year. One with Butler, and then went over and played in North's premiership
Yeah, righto.
the next week.
Well, there you go.
Of course, that used to be an association of itself, Eastern Air Peninsula. And they won 2 Mortlock Shields.
Yeah, yep.
And then, of course, Tumby went off to join Port Lincoln.
That's right.
And the whole thing fell apart, and that's when Air United formed, I think.
Yeah.
It was Lipson and was it Butler Tanks?
Good work there. Ball goes back to John Adams, it's an half back. He picks it up 17 times and he kicks it down. And a good mark taken by Boxer-Carr. Boxer-Carr looks to play on him. Off he goes now. And he looks wide in this flank for Baldasera. Baldasera gets his hand in front and that's a good mark. That's a good mark. Johnny Southern hasn't been beaten very many times today, but that was a good mark. Right in front, keep his eye on the ball.
It's amazing they won 2 Mortlock Shields though.
Yeah, they have. I remember them winning one or 2. Well, Roger Dunn. Oh, he was Tumby.
Well, Tumby was in the association, so yeah.
Roger Dunn, and he's back there now.
Well, I've had a fair bit to do with it.
Oh.
For a crowd of some 55 to 60,000 people, he marched it in the back pocket. There's Jack Clark and gets a beautiful tap down behind the pack, finds Rigney. Rigney running through strong near the flag. Cooper, Dunn comes through, looks for someone to handball it to, no one there. Looks towards the goal square, and he charges it.
No, they had some good players there. The Davey boys were good, very good. Port Neill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they Port Neill, Bob and Ross, and there was another brother too. He was a big fella. I can't think of his name.
That was when Port Neill was winning those premierships.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't very old. Oh, well, I remember going and seeing them play. You know, pretty tough. Big bodies.
Yeah. But they had a real golden run there.
Yeah. And then they had a good full forward, and that Williams, I think his name was.
Oh, yeah.
He was a giant. He used to stand in the goal square and mark the ball, kick goals, because he had good feeders.
But yeah, they had a damn good side back then, with the Davies and Freemans.
Yes,
and
Freemans.
Yeah, and I was only a kid running the boundary and playing Colts, and yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
In the black and white back then.
Evan Hunt that lives out here, but his parents are more his grandfather's more Port Neill, isn't he? His dad right. Never played footy. He come from New Zealand, but his dad was a Freeman from Port Neill that actually won a couple of, or his grandfather was.
Roger, not Roger, and the 2 Freeman brothers at Port Neill. They were good players. Very good. Lawrence and Ronald, good players.
Yeah.
All-time greats at Port Neill.
They played in those premierships.
They would have, yeah.
Yeah, they were.
That'll be in there.
They were in the era before us. They weren't. Yeah, obviously. But
Lawrence won a couple of male medals, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Lawrence and Ron. I think Lawrence won 4 male medals. He was in my dad's era. Lawrence was, and Ron was just a little bit younger. But yeah, Lawrence was just exquisitely skilled. You know, listen to my old man talk about him, and that's his grandson Evan Hunt that played in the premiership side.
That was when Wharminda and them are still in the comp. I'm pretty sure. See, Adrian and David Masters, they were Wharminda.
Yes.
I think they were Eagles colours, same as South.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's right, they did.
Yeah.
Have Eagles colours. Sorry, you would have played against?
That's Wharminda. I played against all those guys. Because that final year of Wharminda, my brother was coaching Wharminda. Yeah, because Breton played out in...
Did he really?
No, Breton only played out there when we bought a farm out there in 59, end of 59. My brother played one more year with Arna Bay, then he went out to Wharminda and played there, and he coached in their final season, I think. I think in 71 he was the coach out there.
Really? Fantastic. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have played against all those fellas. I would have known a fair few of them, though. So I can pick out Jeff Prime.
Well, there you go. I'm even more passionate about the Wharminda side of things now.
No, hang on, that's Jim Masters.
Oh, yes.
That's Adrian's older brother, oldest brother, because David's in there somewhere too. Where's David? He's the tallest.
That's Grandpa front and centre.
He had a run with Gannell. David did apparently.
And this is who's this?
Adrian's older brother. He was a big fella. He made two of Adrian.
Yeah. And could play a bit.
Yeah, I can just remember him.
Yep.
This is Dave.
Yeah. He could play.
Oh yeah, he played with the Bays.
The association would have been
Cleveland, when Cleveland districts. Back then there was, well, I remember as a kid there was Cow North, Cow South, Arna Bay, Cleve, Dark Peak, Rudale, Port Neill.
Wharminda, obviously.
And Wharminda, yeah, there must have been. It's all in the books, I suppose.
Wharminda was obviously a bit of a powerhouse for at least a couple of years.
Well, not in the times that I remember.
What do you remember about playing for Wharminda?
I remember that Wharminda just got flogged all the time. But I think if I remember correctly, the very last game before we folded up, or close to the end, they actually beat Cleve, which was sort of an arch nemesis at the time. And yeah, they were pretty thrilled to win that game.
And the party went on all night?
Well, I don't know if they really partied, but I remember that after games there used to be dances or teas here, straight after a game.
A beautiful dance floor.
Yeah.
We used to have dances regularly and people would come from everywhere. Had a really fast dance floor. The Wharminda Hall.
Because of course the cabarets used to be a real feature of the...
not too much cabarets, no, mainly just dances. And,
balls, you used to have balls and have supper.
yeah.
I first saw my wife there at Wharminda.
Fantastic. Really? You saw her across the hall?
Oh, I know, just in through the side door.
There you go. You met at Wharminda Hall. So she's from Wharminda?
Well, Butler Tanks for another community further down. Yeah, their family followed Wharminda for a while because she had 3 young brothers. They followed Wharminda after we were married because they were a good bit younger than my wife.
So that was after the football?
Yeah, tea and dance was a standard thing. If you played at Rudale or Wharminda, especially at Wharminda, there's almost always a tea and a dance after the footy.
I've been selling a raffle for quite a while now for a CD player, and it's about the right time of the evening to draw that raffle. I have great pleasure in handing over to the chairman of the school council, Mr. Peter Fry. I don't have much to say. I don't want to spoil the mood of the evening as it's going along in here. And I'm going to ask the first teacher who came out today, Mrs. Joyce Walton, Marianne Grisky, and if she would stand up and I can come to you. Thank you. The winner, if you still have your ticket, is Blue 34, and it's a Dorothy head. Well done, Dorothy. I hope you've got plenty of CD discs to put in it. If you haven't, it'll keep you poor buying them, I can assure you that. Before we get on with the last 2 brackets, I'll just ask that any people in the audience that are in the closing bracket sing along. Could you please come around and get ready to go up into it? I think we've lost a few that have disappeared into the audience. Either that or they're 200 yards away from the hall with a bottle of beer. Anyway, I think you'll agree the school children have done a marvellous effort tonight. They're doing a great show for us. One thing that I feel I must do, and that is to congratulate Shirley Rolston who has organised all those children tonight, and hasn't she done a fantastic job? Please give her a big take it away, Darren. And Chompy.
John, please. You've got to give it. You've got to give
They had good facilities, they had showers?
They had showers, yep.
Really? What happened to all the change rooms and stuff?
Well, actually, when football would finish and we had sort of tennis here, we were getting a lot of snakes. Turned out they were actually using the change rooms as a bit of a cubbyhole, so we had to dismantle and clear the site, and that got rid of the snakes. And the school was close by as well, so we just didn't want that. So in the end, they were still standing, but we actually had to take them down.
Okay, yeah. And of course the goalposts are gone as well.
Yeah, I think the local community, and some years we actually crop the oval and a little bit by the fire shed, and that's just a little bit of money goes back to the hall.
Perkins used to run their cattle on there at one stage on the oval, and I remember the cricket season after that, the balls would just be hitting it and going, because you get down behind it like that and they'd just about take your head off.
Yeah. There's a cricket pitch out in the middle there, and they've probably gone now because they, as Peter was just saying, they've sown it for crop and that sort of thing. But
what was the surface like then?
About like that.
And we baled it for hay one year. With a couple of 100 bales of hay. Yeah, it was as good as what the season was, that oval.
The oval?
Because of course it's been cropped and you can't really...
Well, it was pretty high grass.
No, it wasn't too bad.
And toilets. You went round behind a tree at the side?
No, by then we had proper
You didn't have toilets there when I first went?
You walked out to bushes. But by the time you were there, we had proper toilets.
You did not.
Go on.
Great people, those. Yeah. I played footy against Dooley. He's 6 years older than me. And in '59, when I was a skinny kid, Dooley laid me out with a shoulder into the ribs.
Yes.
It was a bouncing ball, and I leapt to bloody get up to it, and he just ran into me with the shoulder here, and lost all my wind. I thought I was going to die. I remember I had the last laugh on him. In '64, I won the male medal, and I was playing tough footy in those days. I remember ripping the ball out of his brother's hands and running, and Dooley's there trying to grab me. Anyway, I sidestepped him, and he grabbed me, but he finished up on the ground because his grip let go. I'd already pulled him off his feet, and I had a full head of steam. And I kicked the ball, and Dooley's behind me on the ground because he fell. So I had a bit of a laugh out there. At '64, so that was my best year. I was 22 then, and I was playing strong footy.
Tell me about Adrian Masters. What was he like as a player?
Oh, well, dirty little bloke.
He was always a good player, so.
Well, I could run and duck and dodge, but my brother David was 6 foot, 6'3" or 4.
A foot taller than you, anyway.
He was a better mark. He could mark in a pack.
the County Juniors League thinks the sun shines out of him, but you remember that bloke with the grey beard, Bill Edwards, the night you done?
Oh, that yeah.
Billy Edwards had a beard. Came down to about here. I had Billy Edwards harassing him when we were playing one day, and Billy could do the job, and he did the block in the end, and grabbed Billy by the beard, and was dragging him around by the beard and was trying to thump him with his other hand, and in the end Billy let it go and just he didn't do anything for a while. But in the end, when he wouldn't let go of his beard, Billy swung one on him, bang, put him on the ground. And he did, and Billy got reported, and he got nothing.
Very good footballer. Yep. Yeah, he could have spent a lot more time in Adelaide playing footy.
Yeah, quite a good ruckman.
A very talented family, that one. They were all very good footballers, starting right back to their grandparents, grandfathers. So.
He was a good footballer. Didn't matter what he played well.
So you had a couple of to-dos with him?
Oh, I've had to-dos with him too.
And that's my uncle, that's Adrian Dooley.
Yep.
Jim Post might have retired by then, but Sid and I think that it was when Frank Post came back and played with us that the club dominated, because he was a good coach as well as being a very good player himself. I think he'd played with North Adelaide, and he came over and coached us. He was a strict coach, but a good coach. And he skippered that team and dominated, being an ex-league player. And all the posts were excellent footballers, including Jim. Sid was 6 foot, quite 6'2" or 3" tall. Not the best kick, but a brilliant mark, and always got the ball. But Frank Post, he'd came out of playing with, I think it was North Adelaide.
The main thing I remember was like my Uncle Ray. And
I got reported on the Noble.
What'd you do?
I struck a bloke called, he went to Streaky Bay after that. What was his name? No, I don't remember. I just got a bit cranky.
When you're playing for?
Arno. I was coaching Arno. If it hadn't been for Dave Masters, I might have hit another bloke.
What was the oval like?
Is that the oval there?
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about it. I don't remember the trees in the background. I would have played 3 or 4 games of cricket there.
Yep.
And 1 game of footy.
You don't remember the surface?
No.
Or if there was grass or not?
No, there's no grass, I'm sure. I'm sure she's very much a dirt oval.
I guess it was just grass weeds here, nothing much else, I suppose. The main thing I remember was like my Uncle Ray and Phil Bates were the trainers over the other side, so you'd sit by them so you got chewies all afternoon.
So what year was it when you would have played your first game at this oval?
1971, 70, no, it'd be 67 or 68. Somewhere around that.
Yep.
My mother brought that thing down, that whole thing down with the truck. She was going to tennis practice, and the car wasn't available, so she decided to take the truck, and it had the high sides on it. She went through there and she looked up and she saw it coming down, so she put her foot down to get away from it, ripped the whole bloody thing down. Dad straightened it all up and had to rebuild the whole thing. They're all new bricks there in that photo.
We trained here sometimes and sometimes at the Varon Oval.
Which one's that?
Varon, which is, you wouldn't have come past it, but they would have been another club once, but we had people from there and people from here playing, so we trained there sometimes.
Yeah, right.
They're involved in, one of them looks like tired, but I'll move around from here if I do. They had a club up to 1939 when they closed the war. And Darren didn't have a club after the war in 1945. They played with Wharminda.
And what colours were Varen?
I believe, were blue and white.
Yeah.
They'll tell you here, actually.
I'd like to go up there and find the oval, but Peter tells me it's a bit tricky to find the Varen oval.
You can't miss it, really.
Oh, really?
No, I'll draw a mud map for you before you go.
I'll go and find it later on today.
Okay.
But you've interviewed the likes of Adrian Masters' mum and dad. Now in 5 years' time, they're not going to be able to tell you that stuff, and that's the sad thing about footy. Like, we don't appreciate the people before us enough anymore. Like, I remember we'd sit down around the cricket. You have Adrian Masters, David Masters, and Buzz Walton, and they would tell you, on the half-forward flank in 1956 out at Albra Park. You remember that one, David? You tapped over the back, and you got an aider, and you passed it down to so and so. And like, they would be telling us this play like it happened that day. And like, as I know, 18, 19-year-olds like Chompy, myself, Pete Masters, we were just sitting down there listening to these guys just tell us stories of like what they were doing, and we were in awe. The kids today, unless it's on Snapchat or YouTube, they're not going to hear about it. So,
well, this will be on YouTube. That'll probably help.
Yeah, it will help.
Yeah, but briefly, that 87 grand final was pretty good, wasn't
it? Which one?
87 grand final.
Port Neill?
No, well, Port Neill, 87, when Cleve were undefeated, and...
Oh, yes, that 86.
They were undefeated.
Yep.
Well done, Primary, you're a bloody hero.
And so you came into that, they were undefeated, they were playing good footy, and you kicked 4 goals, I think.
Oh, yeah. Once again, we had good blokes around us. Like, I think I came in, I was a half-forward flank at, 15, 16. I was lucky I'd grown a little bit in 2 years previously, so I was close to 6 foot, so... and I had a little bit of protection around me with a couple of brothers. So.
You did.
Come on, runners! Come on, Darren! Get like your brother, you donkey.
When you're as a young kid, you come into a senior side, like you want those bodies around you. Like and even today, like if you've got a bit of experience around you, you grow an inch or two because you know you can. I can have a go at that. And, if you do something wrong, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
But if you do something right, they'll get over and praise you. So, look, we had some good footballers go through there. Like Brenton Bear and Chuck Fowzer and Bruce Hines, like outstanding midfields. So
you mentioned Brenton Bear.
Yep. Yeah, Nutty.
A little bit more about him.
Nutty was just one of those blokes that I know you might not see him all day, and then in 10 minutes he'd just rip a game apart. But I reckon 88 at Rudell, he hadn't
ripped the game apart.
He did. Hadn't done much all day, and going into the last quarter, I think he kicked a couple of goals and set another one up. And all of a sudden we're in front. He'd just do some magical stuff. We played a game when I was at Tasman's. I think we'd beaten them by 20 goals the first game. Next time we played them, we kicked 13 goals. Brenton Bear, last 30 seconds of the game, socketed one off the ground from about 45 out, went through the goals. They won by 2 points. He's just one of those absolute freak players. Once again, one of the through that era, the guys stay involved. He's done a lot of coaching down in Lincoln and helped the clubs out. But
he's got a lad playing now.
He came up the other week. I saw him, and just a magical footballer. As you said, you weren't going to see him for 100 minutes of the day, but when he had 10 minutes.
Chris,
is this recording at the moment?
Yeah.
Well, I won't say it. There's a couple of things I would have otherwise said, but I
Oh, really?
and in fact, all of the lads that came from Wharminda played for Port Neill. None of them came. Oh, my brother. Sorry, my brother brought young John in to play for us in Colts, and his girls played a bit of junior netball there for a while too. Yeah.
But nearly everyone else just stopped playing, but nearly all their children went to Port Neill. And when Port Neill had its premiership years, nearly all of those children were actually in those teams.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You'd be one of those children?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. No, we had a pretty strong sort of cult side in the late 70s, I think, in there at Port Neill. On the A grade, we're all getting flogged, but then, you know, as the wheel turns and...
That's where success comes from, of course.
Yeah, that's right. That was a bit of a nucleus of the side, and then when the committee got Stephen Horne to come and coach in 1984, that was sort of the start of, what we kindly refer to as the golden years for the Port Neill Footy Club, or for my era.
So you obviously played at premierships at Port Neill?
Yes.
Because they had a bit of a golden period.
We did. My first 3 years of A grade, we went 3.5 years without winning a game, though. But then when I was in my mid-20s, we hit a patch, a few players come in, and we always had a basis of a team, and once we got to win, we didn't like not winning.
Once you learn how, you didn't stop. Yeah. And Port Neill, did they keep the same colours when Wharminda came in?
Yeah, Port Neill were black and white. So they stayed black and white, but actually when we won all our premierships, quite a big kerfuffle, we'd actually gone to brown and gold. Arna Bay were black and white as well, as Port Neill, so there was a bit of a push, I'm not sure where it came from, but it was voted.
Do you know where the push came from to change the colours?
Adrian, I think, he did a lot of work towards it.
Adrian was the president, I was secretary. Because we came from Wharminda, we were virtually equal, and the club accepted that. But they were so die-hard, they didn't want to go black and white. We took brown and gold because they had all sorts of changes of colour. They wanted near white with a black stripe, and they looked terrible.
Yeah, I remember changing colours. I remember Stephen Horne was the coach when we changed colours, and
black and white, yeah.
What was the jumper like?
They had a couple of different ones. They had did you see the Marble Range one last week? They had one exactly the same as that.
Okay, Samson with a cheeky kick. And I would have thought that was a mark, but not paid. Jed Wolford got the quick handball on. Jai Mullins. Spog playing a fair way up. Ball's long to Billy Byers. Gil Casanova exactly where he should be. Needs to hope he gets that.
The goal.
And he did. Well done, Gil Casanova.
And then they had one with a ugly bloody round thing on the front, just a black Guernsey with a magpie on it. Yeah, that wasn't wonderful, but yeah, they had a lot of success in that Guernsey.
yeah, there was, like Peter was saying there before, there was a hell of a kerfuffle whenever you try and change colours in a club. All the old boys that you hadn't seen for ages come around to the meetings, but...
It was voted, pretty big meeting, to go brown and gold, and so all those premierships happened in brown and gold.
I heard there's a bit of a story about Adrian Masters going over to Melbourne and get the jumpers at the last minute.
Well, he was president at the time, so he'd come from here. My dad was secretary of the club at the time. So yeah, they did a lot of powerhouse organising, and Adrian hopped on a plane and because the jumpers weren't going to make it for the first game, and flew over and actually flew them back.
I played all my footballs at Wharminda. When Wharminda closed down through lack of numbers, I don't know, I never ever played at Port Neill, but I was involved with the club. And the club decided that they had, they were a shocking Guernsey, a black thing with a bit of white on. Mm-hmm. They decided that, it was Port Neill, that they'd change to the same colour as, who's the club in Melbourne, Heather? Hawthorne. And anyway, one of the ladies rode away and got Guernseys, and they sent all long sleeve Guernseys back. Well, the men would not wear them. Mm-hmm. There was only one or two wanted them. Mm-hmm. So we didn't know what the hell to do. They'd come from Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So I packed them in a suitcase and booked my flight to Melbourne. Took them back. I had rang the company before. Mm-hmm. I rang them and went to the Hawthorne Football Club with the Guernseys and waited there, and somebody from the company that we came down, there was only one chap wanted a long sleeve Guernsey, but we thought we should get long sleeve for the mini Colts. Mm-hmm. So we kept the mini Colts Guernseys and we traded in took back the 2 sets of Guernseys, all except one, I think it was.
When you flew over to pick them up, did you fly out of Port Lincoln?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. It cost me about $700 or $800, I think.
Was that the first time you'd been to Melbourne?
Yeah, yeah. But from the airport, I just asked for a taxi to take me wherever I wanted to go.
Yep. And what was your impression of Melbourne?
Pardon?
What was your impression of Melbourne?
Fairly busy. Yeah, quite a bit busier than Wharminda.
Busier than Wharminda?
Yeah. I was younger then and more since then and had more brains then, I suppose. But I got a taxi from the airport to the Hawthorne Football Club. The Guernseys had to come from somewhere else, not the Hawthorne Football Club. But it wasn't all that long, because we'd rang and I'd ordered them. They, I don't know whether somebody brought them down or whether a taxi brought them down, but they were in big boxes. Mm-hmm. I got a taxi back to the airport and flew home and flew to Adelaide, and I don't know, I think I flew back to Lincoln. But
and then Heather was waiting and the other ladies waiting with their sewing machines revved up.
Yeah, ready to go. I'd rang and told them.
From Melbourne.
Oh, from Melbourne.
Yeah.
So you got the call.
Yeah. I'm coming.
Ellen Will, I think.
Ellen Will. That's the one.
It was a very good dressmaker.
And she was the one that she told the girls exactly what.
Really? So she was a good stick.
Lovely lady, glamorous lady. Her or Mick Will, the other fellow played footy with, fullback. It's his mum, mm-hmm. And she actually was a head seamstress at was it Fletcher Jones or one of those places after they left the farm and living in Adelaide. Yeah, beautiful lady, and and she would, well, put it this way. One of the sons got married. There were 4 boys and Uncle Jeff. She made all the suits for them, as well as, if I remember rightly, I think she made the bride's dress as well as the bridesmaids' dresses, I think. But no, she was just a beautiful, glamorous lady. Yeah,
and very good with a sewing machine.
Oh, bloody hell, she was. And she would have had everyone lined up and said, right, this is how we do it, and away she would have gone.
Correct way.
He told the girls exactly what to. They all bring their sewing machines into the clubhouse at Port Neill, and
she had all the cotton ready.
I got back. That was on the Friday, and 4 teams took the field in Hawthorne colours on Saturday.
So what happened? You got the call, and then the call.
I just said to the girls that they're all sort of hanging around. We were waiting for him to come back, wondering if he was ever going to. And I said, right, we've got to get the sewing machines here. So she set up the tables, this woman. She knew just how to set them up. She'd worked in a sewing place before. And she set them all up, and we all had cotton given to us, and that's what we had to thread our sewing machines with. And
this is before Adrian actually arrived back with the jumpers? So you had them threaded up, ready to go?
Ready to go, yeah.
But I had a list of...
who they were,
yeah,
size the jumper.
Size jumper, number, whatever. But the field, it was amazing the next day.
The mini-colts came out in their little jumpers.
four teams took the field in Hawthorn colours. High credit to the girls.
Ellen Will was the organiser, and she really did a good job, really great job, you know. She
You
knew
had about 10 ladies there,
dressmaker.
didn't you?
Eh?
You had about 10 of your sewing.
Oh, we had sewing machines on every table in the hall. Club rooms.
Club rooms. But
how many ladies were involved?
Would have been about 15. All sitting there, sewing. Nobody talked. Everyone just sewed. Yeah.
On the Friday they sewed them, and the team took 7. The club took the field with 4 sets of new Hawthorn Guernseys. And it was quite a thrill, and I think we won the premiership that year.
That was 1984.
And you won the premiership that year?
Yeah, 84, 86, 87, 88, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, that's the scrapbooks.
Oh, really? Well, can we have a look at the scrapbooks?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That'd be terrific. Coach Confident, is that you?
No, that's Arno Bay. So who was coaching that year? That would have been, Gary Davis.
Yeah. And he's confident of beating your Port Neill team? Or?
This is very early in the piece. It's 84, so this is our first year I was down here. And we were pretty lucky because we'd got Stephen Horne. I don't know if you know, heard of Stephen Horne. His father actually was coaching up here in 1964, 63, 62. And Stephen represented EP, centre half back. And so he could... And I actually played footy with him down at Lincoln South back in 1980. And so I knew what Brute was like. And
you know, Stephen Horne, our captain, who holds the record here for a number of games, he could have done anything in his football if he wanted to.
Well, congratulations, Stephen, on your fine win today, and well led by yourself as skipper of the side. It's obviously a great thrill for you, and I know I've played in a couple with you. But out to the skipper and Stephen Horne, left boot looking for Burgoyne, Smart. Finds that guy. He's quickly short in towards Tyrrell, about 25 metres out on about a 60-degree angle in the forward pocket for South. The first time you've led the side, your feelings on leading a premiership side?
Well, sort of hasn't sunk in yet, I don't think.
Scrambled on Warrior. Warrior off the left boot, and he's put it through. That's Boston's 15th goal. They go to 15-12. They trail South by 2 points, 14-19. Anyone's game at this stage, anyone's game at all. It was anyone's game there in that last quarter particularly, and it was probably a little bit more fitness and maybe a little bit more experience in those last few minutes that may have won that game for you.
And a little bit of luck, I think, Gary. For sure, yeah.
Fair enough, Stephen. Congratulations once again, and obviously commiserations to Boston's, but a fine game from yourself personally, and well done by Lincoln South. O'Gorman, he paddles the ball forward, has still got control of it.
He was an unbelievable player, and like I said, he probably could have done a lot, been very successful in Adelaide, whatever. He was a class act, and tough.
Big screw punt by Trevor Sambo. Pick it up high, ball comes to ground. Play on's the call, well umpired, Pedler. Picked up by Horne towards Loxton.
Congratulations, Stephen Horne. It must be a great thrill as captain of the side. I think it's 2 out of 3 now.
Did you ever see Steve Horne play?
Oh yeah, I would have seen Steve because.
Oh, he did. Well, tell me about him as a player.
Steve Horne was a player. 1984, Steve Hamilton coached Port Neill. I didn't watch him at centre half back as much as I watched the full forward.
Peter, your brother.
Peter, my eldest brother was playing full forward. I think I was playing in the forward pocket in the Colts. Look, Steve was, I mean, he always has been quite tight on his fitness, and I think he pushed along. And there was a couple of guys come into the club that year, and when Steve, Bruce Hines, and a couple of others came in, it just changed the whole dynamic. And like as footy today, like if you've got a key forward there, and you've got a good midfield going through, pushing the ball forward, yeah, like that makes a massive difference. Steve Horne floating across half back. He was just like a general. Like we had guys there that had probably battled away for 6, 8 years before. Not that I'm old enough to remember them, but all the time. But you know, they'd just battled away. You get a couple extra players come in. All of a sudden, there's that little bit of pressure release. So they're not. So rather than playing centre half back, they're now on a half back flank. So they step down a player basically. So you're on a lesser player, and you've got the confidence in the likes of Steve Horne playing at centre half back that Steve's going at that, he's going to get it. So
and his level of expectation.
Yep, and so I can create.
That's right.
And
because he'd just come off of that premiership in '83 in Lincoln.
And I think even then, like if you talk to the Port Neill boys of '84, even though up until then we hadn't been winning a heap of games. They were still coming to training, they were all training, and I think that was the biggest thing, like they were all still absolutely keen. So when they started winning, they didn't want to stop. Like no, this winning's good.
It's like Peter said.
Yeah. So once you started working out how to win, you wanted to keep going. So then '84 sort of rolled. They lost a few. Hines took over the coaching. '85 rolled in a few injuries. But still had that basic, geez, we're out here to win. And then '86, I first played my year in '86 with the likes of Pete Masters, John Masters played in late '85.
Yep.
But we were young kids coming into a senior side, but that senior side was programmed to win. Like we're going to win, and like we just thought nothing of it. So that
did you actually get on the field in the '86 grand final?
'86 full forward line was A prime, P prime, C prime. So I started in the forward pocket. I think I kicked a couple. 4 in '86.
'86.
Yeah.
Because in '87 you were 16, so you were 15 in '86.
Yeah. Yeah, played '86, '87, '88.
Wow.
So all three of us played 3 premierships together. We got a photo sitting at home with all 3 of us standing there together. So, yeah.
What number were you wearing in '86?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. That was a long time.
Did you used to change numbers? Or? Obviously, if you can't remember what number you had.
Well, I obviously I reckon I wore 10 in '87.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon '86 we might have been. '87 was at. Jesus, I can't remember.
'87 was at
Dart Peak. '86 might have been at Cleve.
It was at Cleve.
'86 against Cleve.
No, '86 was against Dark Peak at Cleve.
Yeah, '86, '87, '88 was at Rudell against Cleve when they were undefeated. But just once again, the senior group they'd formed, and that we weren't going to lose. Like they had the belief that they were going to win, and and they'd back that right to the end. And then when we amalgamated with Arno, a key nucleus of that side stayed together, and that belief was still there.
Yeah,
but a lot of people give Stephen Horne a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I was going to retire after '83, winning the premiership with South.
How does it feel?
Feels really good.
And bugging me dad some Port Neill guys come down to sound me out. I thought, well, you know.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so I took it on. It was terrific, but the travelling and working here and that.
1 year was enough.
Yeah, it was 3 times a week travelling up there, and they had ready-made coaches playing anyway with Hines and Rick. Yeah.
But you got them started anyway.
It was enjoyable.
Got them
really
rolling.
enjoyable.
But they obviously had those kids coming through.
Yeah, they did.
Most of them from Wharminda, I think, but they were coming through.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to pick up recruits as well.
You did?
From Tumby and Hinesy coming into town.
It was a big stroke of luck having the shot.
Oh, yeah. Experienced player like him, tough as well, you know. It's just a matter of really getting them on the rails and keeping them there, really, though.
But they had just lost every game for 3.5 years.
Yeah, they sort of lost, didn't know how to win, I don't think. But once they started winning, and yeah.
Because you're right, there's a big difference between knowing how to win and not knowing how to win.
Yeah.
And you can have the players, as obviously they did. What did you do to teach them that?
Oh, I think we just got fit. And,
so you flogged them on the track to start with?
Oh, yeah, pretty much, I suppose, yeah, get fit. And like Rick says in the interview with you, most of them being farmers and shearers, they didn't, you know, when they were busy, they didn't train. They were too buggered. So.
I knew they'd do that, the buggers.
But we did train twice a week for the whole year. And,
even through those busy times?
Through them busy times, poor buggers.
Because you were up there to achieve something?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Which was a premiership?
When I took the job on, it was only going to be 1 night a week training. We can't do it properly. You know, you can't get real fit 1 night a week. So made the commitment to go twice a week, and yeah, paid off.
And you won.
When I heard he was coaching here, I thought, well, that's a nice plus. I was also lucky enough to get this Bruce Hines, and Hinesy, buddy, and probably heard Jeff and Kath and Peter etc. talk about Hinesy, but you know, ex-Norwood and pretty handy sort of a boy as well.
Yep.
But we also picked up the Lockwood boys from Tumby Bay. Those two. What was the other one? Oh, Butch Kitson. He moved from Ungara. He bought a farm bought up here.
Yeah.
And then Big Pete Schillerbeer and Big Ruckman. It all just sort of fell into place at the right time in '84, and
because that was sort of the start of it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And those blokes stuck around, or they simply taught everyone how to win?
Well, with Hinesy, he certainly stuck around. Horne, he coached up here the first year, and he went back to Lincoln.
No, only '84. Yeah. It wasn't practical to go back there. I was working down here, and they had a good team, and they had 2 or 3 guys in there who could have coached anyway, and which they did. Hinesy finish up coaching, and then Rick Will. So they had all them guys. So they didn't need me.
Hinesy took over the coaching role, and he just brought another element to the whole group as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
Looking at all the names, I mean, Stephen Horne as coach was a Port Neill lad originally, and he'd gone to Lincoln, and we got him back. He was a very accomplished footballer and a great leader on the field, and he sort of took it to another level. He made people get serious about training. Like that '84 year, we trained twice a week all year, like right through seeding and everything, which was a little bit unheard of for us. And Horne had to drive down from Port Lincoln twice a week to take the training. But yeah, it certainly did make a big difference when you got serious about things.
Team effort to Port Neill. They won nearly all their matches in 1984.
things sort of fell into place a little bit for us that year with, you know, guys like Rick Will moved into town. Horne obviously coaching, and Bruce Hines bought the shop at Port Neill and made a huge difference, yeah. Just a little bit, yeah. Sometimes things just come together for you, don't they? And it did for us back then. There's Rick taking the screamer.
So he could play?
Yeah, very good footballer, Rick. Very skilled and very tough. Took no prisoners. He was fair dinkum when he was out there.
He was a tough bastard. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, he was a good footballer. Very hard and, yep.
You played with him?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, apparently he's pretty hard, man.
Oh, he was tough, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think they was all pretty hard. In fact, there was a coach apparently that...
Bruce Hines.
Was he?
Bruce Hines.
Ah, yeah. He's a bit famous, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, and he came in and sort of changed the culture.
He did. A lot of people, and that was before my time too, a lot of people say it was Stephen Horne that started it. And Bruce took it over.
Yeah.
But Bruce was a hard man.
Yeah.
But a lot of people give Stephen Horne a lot of credit.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because of course Port Neill had gone through a period of, well, almost, I think they went years without a win, according to Peter Prime.
Yes.
Before your time, I guess, but you know, then it's a big mental change, isn't it, to go from that sort of attitude to a winning.
It is, yeah.
Culture.
That's what Bruce did. Yep. It was very much discipline.
Yeah.
He was a hard coach, but he got the best out of a lot of players.
Yeah. What was his approach, and what did he used to say?
He was the hard man himself.
Go on, Bake, say it.
Hard, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
probably hard off the ball too, but anyway,
he was pretty hard off the ball. Yeah. Yeah. It was a take no prisoners thing.
I can't believe none of them have brought that Guernsey up.
Before 84. Well,
I fucking should ring Dad right now.
What Guernsey?
Can't believe none of them have said about ripping that Cleve Guernsey to shreds.
Ah, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, so the story goes, it's before the Grandy, and Bruce Hines has somehow acquired a Cleve Guernsey and thrown it into the middle of them, and they've just fucking ripped it to shreds.
And it worked?
Yeah, they mauled them.
Yeah, we were probably a bit of a nice side before 84. Well, maybe not. That's probably not quite right, but...
Is that right?
I don't know about that one, but I know someone hit him one day. Russell Jolly was the umpire, and he knew there'd be some retaliation.
Yeah.
So he was watching. This bloke went down and said, Russell didn't see it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Yeah, it certainly can be done.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he was a dirty footballer.
Yeah.
But he was pretty freaking
a hard man.
Yeah.
Fair.
Sometimes.
But certainly he demanded and he got respect.
Oh yeah, he really had respect, yeah.
From the opposition, of course, and that's what he wanted his team to get, I guess, was respected.
And he had respect within the team too, like they set the example.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Hines, he sort of brought that bit of mongrel into the side, which is what you need. Yeah, I suppose grand final was our first one, and Peak did have a reputation, like Dark Peak had a reputation of winning grand finals. They'd had a pretty good run, and we'd never won one, but then we'd lost, you know, hadn't won a lot of games previous to that, or previous to '84, I suppose even. But
we were lucky enough that, as I said, with the recruits that we'd had, we got going pretty well early in the piece, and from that we got to the middle of the year, and shock and horror, we actually got beaten by one of the opposition clubs. I think was that Dark Peak, the first one. Yeah, it's when Dark Peak beat us. And then the following week we got beaten by Rudall, I reckon you'll find, if I remember rightly. And that didn't go down that well with the boss, that's for sure.
Your memory's pretty good, I think.
Yep.
By 4 points.
Yeah. And then I'm not sure if we didn't get beaten by Cleve in the third game. I reckon we lost 3 on the trot.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the games you had to lose.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Peter kicked his ton.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's middle of the year, and this is when, look at our side, and there's probably 6 or 8 of us were shearers, and getting off tractors and everything else as well, and pretty leg weary, leg heavy I should say.
Yep.
And from there, yeah, we got a bit more energy, got things going again, and from that we came up against Arno Bay, and Arno, I think we gave him a fair old buddy touch-up, if I remember rightly.
34 goals, 21 to 11-4, yeah.
And then from that, we were up and going again.
Or in fact, P Prime, 15 goals.
Yep, and unforgettable day for Peter.
Ah.
Yeah, I reckon that the year he kicked his first 100. I remember.
Right. 104 goals in 12 games.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there goes Prime cracks a ton.
Yeah, Peter was full forward. Kicked quite a few goals.
Yeah. No, Peter was very, very strong in front, very accurate, very strong through the legs, the hips, never get knocked over, always keep his feet. Pretty much all the Prime boys like that.
Yeah.
You know, those boys just developed in a matter of 2 or 3 years into exceptional footballers actually. And
Pete Prime still.
Yeah, Pete was still buddy kicking goals. Pete was never a huge kick like Chris. You know, you get him 40 metres out in the biggest distance, but you know, you try and move him, and you know, Peter's a big man now, but back in his day, all the Prime boys got legs on like stone cold.
That's correct, right?
And so you know, they were bloody hard to move. And Pete at full forward, you know, you'd get on a one-on-one, and you just they'd try and move him, and he just bang.
He reminds me of Dunstall. Just solid, sturdy, accurate. Just yeah.
Off the field, fairly quiet sort of a guy, but once they cross that white line, you know, if you're in between him and the ball, you're in a bit of trouble, really.
Rod's getting over.
His brother was probably a little bit better player, and he's still coaching mini colts here, I think.
Kelly pushed the ball forward. Hamilton, a good defender last week and playing a pretty handy game today. Now it's McIntosh. What can he do? The champ goes wide. Prime's got it. Dirty out with the breeze.
What a beautiful kick from Macca. Oh, he had a look, and Prime had led to the absolute perfect spot. It was useless going to the other side. Macca on the left foot, running with the advantage, and just looked away, and Prime put himself in the ideal spot.
3 goals, 2 and 1 out of bounds on the full. Make that 4. The big fellow pops it through. They advance now to 4 goals, 4-28, trailing Glenelg 6-5-41. We're 17 minutes into the second term.
We've seen a lot of Chris Prime this year, and he has been excellent. Is he good enough to play AFL footy?
Well, I would say that no, not at this early stage. I don't think perhaps he would. He's strong enough, but I doubt that he's perhaps tall enough really to hold down a consistent position in AFL football. Beg your pardon?
There's been some of the talk that he's worthy of it.
Well, perhaps so, but then there's a lot of players in that category too. But no, not at this stage. I don't think he would be.
Love to see him have a go, Nipper.
So would I,
But when he played for us, Chris, just regularly he's being sent off. I don't know why.
Ball is pretty tough. It's all a bit of show out there, but it's going to cost the Redlegs 50.
Have a look at this.
That'd be a nice conversation too.
He's not reciting poetry, Neville.
But he got sick of it, so he moved here to Tumby Bay and won the male medal first year.
When he was in his 30s, I think, well into his 30s.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the crying shame about with Crispy is that, as we lost players from up here, moved away, etc., and more and more got put on his shoulders as well, and then of course when that was happening, opposition was just belting him behind the ear and things like that, and I don't want to be derogatory against umpires or anything, but it wasn't looked after. So in the end, he'd snap and lose his bloody temper, and he could have done some bloody major damage. And
so at times it was self-inflicted. At times, there were a few umpires that I had obviously rubbed up the wrong way through time.
The place one that you hated and they hated.
Yeah, that was due to cricket though. Yeah, I think I gave him a send off at cricket, and Gavo was keeping, and Pete Forrest was in first slip, and they were just cacking themselves. And then they thought, well, maybe we've gone a little bit far, but yeah, no, Vanby and I, there was no love lost there. And I used to win on the cricket field, and they used to just roll me up on the footy field. And I shouldn't say this, they were the days when umpire would give the all clear, they'd go to the thing and they'd always run backwards. Great thing about being full forward, you kick your goal, you turn around, you clap your teammates. You do it right behind the umpire, they're going to go straight into you. So you can make contact with them without doing a thing. So some of it was very much self-inflicted, but yeah, there was a little bit of white line fever.
You remember that trip to, I think it was Kimber? You must have got a ride up with me and the old man, and on the way up, my dad, he's saying, "Now, Chris, you've just got to make sure you do the right thing today. You control your temper." Yep, no worries, no worries.
Don't get
reported. What happens? It gets reported. So there's an interesting trip home from Kimber.
Was that the flashing light in the boot one?
Yeah, I think it was the same day.
Oh yeah. Rudell is the one that gets me. The Evans boys. Mick Evans grabbed hold of me right in front of our coach's box. He had my arms pinned, and his younger brother come up and punched me right in the nose. The umpire was standing, who was a policeman, standing about 10 metres away. And I looked at him, and he was just smiling. And the bloke who punched me when his brother let go took off through the rail.
Like, no shit, hit and run. Like, it's a tractor. You hit a tractor, you're going to run. But, yep, give Crispy a clip around the ears. Crispy turn around, fucking, he's off, over the field, gone. Run off the field, yeah.
So what happened? Let's see.
Around the back of the club rooms and come in by their coach's box.
Oh, I've never seen anything like that. He just, boom, jumped the rail and ran away. Chris started chasing him.
And the umpire 50 metres away sent you off because you were going to retaliate.
Yeah, I copped a little bit, but yeah, and I said to that umpire later, I said, well, if I'd punched him, you would have reported me. And he goes, yes. And I said, well, why didn't you report him? You're big enough to look after yourself. So... So it went both ways. Like, yeah, I gave it out, but I was copping it with no protection. So yeah, it was detrimental to my football and changing clubs. I was a little bit quieter when I got to Tumby, but yeah, it was just that a change was a free.
Took the load off because there was sort of you and me carrying and Andrew carrying most of, well, don't want to sound like a big head, but we're carrying a fair bit of the weight of the team. There's a lot of young kids playing and at the time, and then so you go to Tumby when suddenly it's coming lace out and you don't have to work your guts off and you're not copping it from everyone else. Because he did get a fair bit of attention from other teams because they knew, oh, if we can fire him up and get him to do something silly, well, then it's going to be advantageous to us.
So my first year at Tumby, the assistant coach at Ramblers was from Cleve, and his tactic to his fullback was just punch him. Because that worked at Cleve. Problem was, when the ball's coming in 6 or 7 times, 10 times a quarter, you can punch me because I'm going to get the next one.
The centre again, Code up. And again, Code seems to be dominating quite strongly. Out the side, Letton again. A couple of fumbles, but he had plenty of time. Back to Michael Curtis, who's come back onto the ball. Chips it up again, looking for Prime. Prime seems to be firing right up, and he gets the ball and just busts through the pack, handballs over the top to David Butler, and walks in, metre out, and chips through. Very unselfish Prime with 100 goals this year. Showed it again.
And so it didn't work. It was a whole different attitude.
Yeah.
When he got to Tumby, he had a very good centre line.
Oh, he had Curtis.
Yep. But Hunty was there as well, I think, but he's pretty good too. And fucking, they'd just feed him. It's like a fucking big pelican there, just gulping him up. And he can kick straight, so he got it. That's it. Show over.
I was involved in coaching Tumby with Richard Horgan from 2006 to 2009. Tumby had a really strong period then. It was when Chris Prime came to the club.
And that's it. 2007 grand final goes to Tumby Bay.
Michael Curtis come home from his career at Sturt, and they were, probably two of the better players I've ever seen play. I mean,
150 goals in his first year.
Oh, he was freakish. He was just a gun, Primey. And I mean, I remember when he came to the club and we were sitting there, Richard Horgan and myself, and Hawg said to me, he said, I reckon if we can get 40 or 50 goals out of this guy, it's just going to be something the club hadn't had, and then he comes out and kicks 156 and wins the male medal, 14 in the grand final. But he was a star, Primey. I mean,
Jeffo looks for Prime, puts it right out in front of him and kicks it to Prime. Prime's having a pearler of it today.
Oh, you had 3 years at...
Three years at Nord. What
was your expectation when you went over there?
To be honest, I didn't know.
To play a game of league footy, probably.
Well, as the story will go, a week before we started that year, I think we had the bye first up. Neil Craig took 30 blokes out to Elizabeth. That was the 30 in his squad for the first game. I wasn't in that 30. And I rang Mum and said, look, I didn't have a job at that stage. I wasn't really enjoying Adelaide because I wasn't working, so you're doing nothing. And I said, look, I've had pretty much enough of this. And she goes, I'll just see it out, get in, play a bit of footy. And I reckon on the Tuesday and Thursday night, so Mark Ducker did a hamstring and Anthony Pieri broke down, so I went from not being in the top 30 to lining up at full forward in my first game 7 days later.
And you kicked?
Kicked 7 on debut. First mark, Craig Barham took the ball out of the middle, hit me on a half-forward flank right in front of the Cooper's bar.
And that
was
perfect.
I'm going, oh, it's not too bad. Kicked 7, I think I kicked 2 the next week, got dropped and played the rest of the year.
Fantastic.
Finished the season, I'd play Saturday and not be able to walk Sunday. I'd train for half an hour Thursday night, play, and same through, and had groin up at the end of the year.
Here's Irvin from the far side, left half forward, good kick. Oh, what a strong mark that was, taken down there by Prime, in the middle of 2 or 3 players.
So that's why you came home eventually?
No, the farm next door came up. I had a choice. The boys were doing it pretty tough back here. Like, you either, if you want to come home, come home. If you want to stay over and play footy, we'll work the farming side out. So it was a little bit of, at would have been 24, 25, what I want to do with the rest of my life. I could have played footy for a while, but I still am. But
Merino's are forever.
Oh yeah, farm, like that's what you do. Like I'll farm for another 10 or 15. Well, if I'm like Dad, another 40 years. So I can't play footy that long.
No.
Apparently.
Although you are disproving that theory, Chris.
Oh, I'm only 50.
And how many you got this year so far?
Oh, I only got a dozen. But yeah, look, I go out and enjoy myself. Like, I still enjoy the after-game banter. And really enjoying now. We've got a lot of young kids playing B grade for us at Tumby, and while I'm coaching them in the Colts, it's even better when you get out there on the field with them and you can actually give them
practical instruction.
You go, okay, you go and stand, you stand 5-10 metres in front of the goal square. They're having a shot here. When it comes to ground, you're right there. You're going to get the crumb.
You show them a result, yeah.
And they get a result. Or you go, I'm going for a ruck contest, and I say, well, look, you go there, and I can get my body in the right spot to bring it down to them. So they're learning, like, it's on the job training. You can tell them as much as you like, but when you get out there and you get a few senior blokes around you, you can actually really hold it.
Demonstrate what you're talking about.
You've got to get back here, or you've got to
stand there, and the ball is going to come.
Yeah.
Bang! There you go. How was that? There you go.
And they learn from that. So, and there's a lot of footballers that are still doing that. Like, and it might not always be playing, but a lot of the guys like Chompy Masters coaching the juniors up here, or and like you keep putting back into clubs like.
And will it make it? I suspect not. Hedge your bets until the last moment. Scott Burns gets it over the top to David Burns, his namesake, but a different spelling. Thumps it towards the goals, and typically it's offline. This is O'Leary, as Mark mentioned, has stayed in that forward pocket. Fleming over the top to Prime. Prime walks into an open goal, and a belated third for the big chunky full forward.
Big
Pumper. Get there, 8.
Sorry, Stephen. Big Pumper, they call him out of the parade. And that's his 100th goal for Norwood, and after a great debut year last year, a bit slower this year, be a bit disappointed in his form at the moment, and so with the Norwood Football Club at this stage. What do they call him? Big Pumper. Could you explain that? Well, I can't actually, Mark, because at training he wears big, I think it's a green Guernsey with Big Pumper written over it, so we'd have to ask someone out at the club. Yeah, I just wonder what that means.
I think.
Yeah, he just didn't know what he was talking about.
What was the true story?
So, like I was full forward, and I was tracted. Twiggy Cordwell coined that phrase at a training down at Tasman's, like pre-season, because up here pre-season starts in February, down there pre-season starts, God knows when it was.
November if they're serious. Yeah.
And then we were running along the foreshore doing sit-ups with medicine balls, and started calling me tractor, and it sort of stuck.
Yep.
For a fair while now. The commentator just got that wrong. I think he just got a bit overexcited. Like, yeah, I was tractor and Anthony Pieri was the other forward, similar build. He was plugger. That was, I don't know where the pumper came from.
Decides to go for a short lead. Goes to Colwell. Colwell takes it. Goes back for his kick. Tasman moving around well. It's a long high kick down the centre. They run up, straight through the hands of it. But it was well taken there by Troy Sargent. He marked the ball and picked the ball up, and with a real good pass, picked out.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Tractor.
He's still playing.
Apparently I think it was last year, he played 10 games at B grade and kicked 100 goals.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, that's chucked out of the pack by Curtis and got away with it. Prime's on the lead again. It's all getting a bit clinical now. He's fading for the pass off, but it won't happen. He's going for goal. He's passed it off. Yeah, another easy goal, just too easy.
Yeah.
Pretty
good effort. He was a big lad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he carries a lot of weight around.
Oh yeah.
Ramblers look heavy in the legs, slow to get to the contest. Oh, there's an inherent boot in there somewhere from somebody. Got the ball, shovel the ball forward. Still shoveling the ball forward. Ramblers get a handball out. Clawton struggling to get the ball up, gets a handball forward. Straight to Tumby Bay to Fleming. Tractor's leading to the ball. Misses Hunt. Got away from the Holman tackle. That's just not skill, that's just weight. Too light a player trying to tackle that, it's just impossible.
I think the thing I loved about him too, just he was such a skillful player. I don't think people realised how skillful he was. I mean, big man obviously, but he certainly, it took Tumby a while to understand that you couldn't bomb the ball in, because I think by his own admission he's not a leaper or anything like that, but his ability, if he got in a one-on-one contest on the run, people couldn't get around him. And I remember a day he kicked 12 here against Ramblers, and it was, Tumby and Ramblers have got a pretty strong sort of rivalry, I guess, that's been built over a number of years, and he kicked 12 here on Tumby Over, 12 out of 17, and had some good players standing to him. And Simon Pedler was still a gun player then, and they threw everything at him, and it was just almost that little turning point, I think. That's where Tumby sort of thought, well, we're on here. And
goes for a bit of a run. Not the best of kicks. Prime needed it right in his chest. 2 on Prime, hasn't got it. Played for it well there and got the free kick. Primey can kick these big long ones. We'll have to wait and see. Might not quite make it, but looking good off the boot. And it's got through.
Chris is probably the guy that to me is the country footballer and all the ones that I've seen that could have the biggest influence on the game. Yeah, you just turn the game on its head.
Yeah, because it was nagging at me why you went back to Ports just for that 1 year, Chris. Why'd you leave Tasman?
Well, we'd had a pretty good year in '91. Personally, I kicked 100 goals, which
you did,
which was a bit of a buzz. I said before about my match payments, but I was on $5 a goal in 1990, and 91 they did up it to $5 a goal, and they'd double it if I kicked 100. And I did change. I said, look, if I kick 100 rather than doubling it, I'd like a keg of beer for my 21st. So when I bought up my 100, that was a keg of beer for my 21st, which that was a bonus. But yeah, look, a pretty handy year. And at the end of the year, like my oldest brother had been given he'd taken on the coaching job at Ports for 92.
Yep.
Tasman's made it pretty clear to me that they wanted me to stay. They came up with a 3-year deal for me in 92. So at the end of 91 for playing 92.
Yep.
It was 12 grand over 3 years, which in probably today's terms doesn't sound like much. That was a pretty big deal back to a 20-year-old in 1991. I hummed and hawed. And
buy a car with that.
Nugget gets picked up by Michael Casanova. Michael on his left handballs across goes back to Steve Milton, does a turn, back to Wheatbrick. Wheatbrick with a left foot kick, he's just come on, it's gone right down to the forward line where it's marked by Prime, and Prime makes no mistakes and kicks it right out over the trees. And that was a very quick reply from Tasman's.
You know, when the oldest brother and the bloke you work with coaching, it makes it pretty hard. I think they even approached Peter about coaching
Tasman's
92
to keep you there.
To keep me there. So in the end, I think me leaving won them a premiership, like 92.
Well, they won a premiership.
Yeah. Feggy came in, he played full forward for him. And
He goes up under his left foot. It's a long left foot kick right down the middle. Up they go, and it's a good mark to the Tasman coach, who's probably 40 metres out in front, directly out in front. Steve Figgett puts the ball down, lines up, taking plenty of time, taking lots of time. The players have all dropped back. Comes down, he's going to kick from about 40 metres. He's done a drop punt, and it's good and a straight through, and that's 2 goals to Tasman's in the first minute. Tasman's now lead by 2 goals to Zul.
Yeah, I've been a bit of a curse for a few clubs, like because as a key forward, like your job is to kick it to me.
So they relied on you?
A little bit. I think 91 I kicked 119. Steve Milton was second with 19.
Should have been a free kick to Tasman's. There was a handball by 2 handballs now to, and that was a real good goal to Stephen Milton.
You just need to spread them a bit more than that.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, look, they made me a pretty good offer to try and stay, and it was pretty hard to say no to.
But you said yes to your brother. So.
Oh yeah, and like when you work together, it makes it pretty hard. Like we've got by now. I work with obviously 2 brothers and a couple of nephews, and they're only a couple of years ago. My brother was assistant coach at Air United. I was at Tumby, and Caleb and Peter were still tied in with Port, so we were sort of spreading ourselves around a few clubs. So it is hard, but it's a pretty good draw to go back and play with family. So when you get the opportunity, you do. At the end of 92, obviously the opportunity came up to go over and play in Adelaide.
At half-back, and McIntosh has got him magnificently done by the veteran. Kicked off the ground, back to Kelly. A chance for Norwood to go into attack again. There's Kelly's kick. It is a long one. Ducker wrestling down there with Delaney, and also Phillips. A chance for Rowe. Already had a couple of touches. Here's big Chris Prime. Oh, don't tell me! He's kicked it! Absolutely magnificent. Great start, Norwood. 1-1. The Magpies yet to score.
Chris Prime has 81 goals for the season so far, and now make that 82. The interesting thing about him is that you'd expect with a frame like that he would be taking big, strong, body-to-body marks, but really his agility for a man of his size is something else. Just watch as he pulls it inside, plenty of poise, holds it up, the check side punt, Norwood first blood.
Got approached after an EP game at Crystal Brook. Port Adelaide wanted me to go over then and there, but I guess I was 21, so I was wise enough to say, well, hold it. I know I'm not fit enough. If I'm going to play, I need a full pre-season. North Adelaide approached me just to talk to them, and Norwood invited me out for 2 weeks of training. So went out for 2 weeks of training, and geez, thought I was a little bit fit. I'd done a bit of work, but yeah, we did a 10K first up, and sat down there and that I was pretty sore. And Neil Craig went past me and just had a bit of a smile on his face. He said, "Oh, it's not country footy now, is it?"
A low-scoring first semi-final. Chris Prime's goals early in that first quarter and finished with 4. It was a good effort from the big fellow.
Yeah, it was. It was difficult because the wind was a lot stronger early, and kicking into the wind was very hard, so he set it up for us.
David Christie speaking there with Michael Aish. Norwood through to the preliminary final next week, and of course Glenelg out now for season 1993.
Because I didn't fit into the box, I wasn't that bloke that could run a 4-minute K, you know, run 10 Ks, do this, do that. Yeah, it was a bit of a project player.
Well, you didn't fit so much in the science of modern football, but you're a footballer. You remember?
I was a footballer, but he, you know, and that was the era when we were starting to go through, like, you'd have 90 blokes out there, and like they'd chop them, if you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, you were out. And like Phil Gallagher filled me in later and said, like, you were a project player.
No, he's taking a while. He might well do so as well.
It's another leadership role from him, though, isn't it? 14 and 13 today, and more than that, his voice is always very good. His leadership second to none.
Good kick by McIntosh. Up in front there was Prime, tries to get the hand pass. Now that was very clever because he waited and waited, and now Patterson, and he's looking for Baum. Oh, the 30-year-old's got it. He can wrap this up.
You know, you look at the AFL now, and it's it is all numbers. But there's people that get in. You look at the Sam Mitchells and those guys. Caleb Daniels, that's 4 foot nothing. Just their weight of numbers is possession. They do stuff other people can't. Like, and it's not necessarily running X distance in a certain time. It's actually being in the right spot. Footy's a pretty easy game. You get the ball, give it to a teammate.
But he's a big bloke.
A very big bloke.
And he'd be twice, 3 times your size.
Gave it away, Russell. Davey, nice little piece of work. Cowan puts the foot on the accelerator but can't quite get past. Working back is McKinnon. This is Irvin around the body. It's a long kick, it's a high kick. Prime, beautiful use of the body, snaps at goals, and he's got his third. Norwood get their 6th, they're 6-8. West Adelaide are 4-12, and we're inside half a minute into the last quarter.
Well, that was quite spectacular play by this big full forward. Have a look at this. Have a look how well he traps it. It was quite extraordinary. There's Irvin's kick. Look at this. Bang. Perfect bounce for him, but he just trapped it so well. And he was directly in front and banged it through. 3rd goal, and what a critical one.
I reckon last year he played here, they made him vice-captain, I reckon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he was a bit of a hit over there, I think.
Central's defence has been very, very good. Back with Hyde. The further this game's gone, the more impact he's had. Great mark by Prime. Just every now and again, he does something special. Doesn't he use his fair share of Lycra as well? That's a big frame.
the Lycra Guernsey, that's probably something that should be touched on.
Oh, look, it was...
Because that was tight. It was meant to be designed. It was designed.
It wasn't tight enough for some of us. It was tight enough for me because I had enough...
muscle to fill it.
I think it was my 6-pack showing at my...
It was.
Yeah.
It was your massive 6-pack was really showing through that Lycra. So
there's a couple of us big boys that probably didn't suit. But it was the first,
modern sort of...
Yeah, Neil Craig always saw a little bit out of the box.
Was it a bit harder to tackle? Or?
Oh, that was the idea, but it wasn't quite tight enough. Like, they ordered sizes, but really what had to happen is... Roy, you're this size. Look, it's got to be that tight.
A bit like a swimsuit, sort of.
Yeah, so
like
it's got to be a bit more fitted. There's a fair bit of backroom chanter from the boys not liking it. You know, Stephen Rowe reckons he got a rash from it. I don't know if that was where Rowe got the rash or not.
Or where it came from, necessarily.
It's just one of those things. I think we wore them for 2 years, and then they got. When Craig got gone, well, they were
the jumper.
Yeah.
But I think he was only about 25 or something when he went to Norwood. Yeah. Went over there and kicked 185 goals. Only started at 25, 26.
That's right, yeah.
Played 3 years, kicked 185. And thanks very much. I've done my league footy. I'll go home now.
Away he goes. But yeah, no, in Tasman, he had a great year or whatever.
He kicked 90, I think, that year.
Yep.
Goes back for his kick. Kicks it down to the centre of the ground to Weebricks. Weebricks up and high, and a good mark to Weebrick. He goes back for his kick, and he's taking a good high mark. He now goes for a pass through. Oh, come unstuck. It's picked up by Louis on his left leg. Handballs across. picked up by Milton again. Milton straight down the middle of the ground and kicks it to Dickie Clements, who takes the mark at the centre half forward position. Went to have a kick, but now he's gone back for his kick. And he goes for a short kick past the Prime, and Prime has marked the ball. Ali Park supporters not real happy with that, but it was definitely a mark. Once again, distance won't be a problem. Oh, now the pressure's on. Pressure's on Prime now. He lines it up.
Yeah.
You remember that day out at Stanford when they were playing Lincoln South and Robert Giacomo was playing Lincoln South?
Mm.
And he came out and kicked 14 and Prime kicked 9 that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. It's amazing forwards. Giacomo was, yeah.
And he was incredible.
He didn't look like a footballer, but he was.
I reckon the saddest day, I can still remember Chris Prime telling me he's going to Tumby Bay. He told me in the Port Neill pub I was crushed.
Again, I just find it a crying shame that he left up here under the cloud that he did, went down to Tumby Bay, but he absolutely has slaughtered it down.
1-on-1, he was unbeatable, really. Like you said, all that, you know, looking that way and one-handed stuff and mark over here and then had such a beautiful kick. Anywhere, you know, 50 plus metres, you'd pretty much put it down for a goal every time.
Great way.
Yeah.
Oh, come on!
That's Gav Masters, I think. That'd be Hinesy, I think.
And that's Hinesy.
He handballs to...
Definitely Hinesy.
He handballs to Chris Prime.
A young Chris, isn't it?
16.
Definitely Chris. Yeah, that's definitely Chris.
Yeah. And yeah, the 3 Primes, they're all goal kickers. Some people are great footballers, but they're not goal kickers. The Primes, the whole 3 of them were goal kickers. They knew where they were, and they're very accurate.
Andy Prime could actually play.
Great player, awesome player. It's that lazy little left foot, never missed. You'd never think he'd get to the ball, but he was just always in the right spot.
The A-grade votes had also been pre-counted, and best and fairest with 17 votes was Andrew Prime.
Yeah, he's a second son.
Younger brother Chris was named best utility player, and older brother Peter won the Dick Kuzner Memorial Goal Kicking Trophy for the 13th time. For the 13th time.
Yeah.
Best and fairest runner-up with 16 votes was Gavin Masters.
That's David's son.
Really, another Masters, another Wharminda man.
Yeah.
Most consistent was Butch Kitson. Best placed man was Mick Will. Most improved was John Masters, another son.
Yes, brother to Gavin.
And best team man was David Head. Jeff Prime then gave a brief football history of the club before he and Kath presented each team member with a premiership medallion. Which is what you want.
That's why we kept the books. Yeah. Our son played all those games.
Yep.
What year's that? Oh, goodness me. They've got everything.
I started this because I had 3 boys playing in it. Chris was only 14 at that time, but 1988 they were all in it.
And they featured fairly prominently.
Yeah. The Port Camp rallied as the second quarter commenced with Andrew Prime best on the ground, roving to perfection, setting up many opportunities for his team. Andrew sort of doesn't get many accolades with Chris, and because he played centre or in the centre of the ground.
It was just a bloody sensational time. And I think that's why everyone looks back on these sort of years, and our wives hate it because we keep calling them the golden years, because that's what they were. They're just sensational years. And
Turns. His son's playing for us now.
Oh yeah?
That's young Jake Turner. You'll probably see him tomorrow, number 28. He's a superstar. The same thing as his old, you see his old man, I think number 15 in some of those ones. He's the same age as me, one or the other. Yeah, Jake, what he's saying. Yeah, 14's Rick. Yeah, I reckon 15 was Scott Turner. But yeah, Jake's even more so.
Finds Jake Turner. Another goal to South.
The same sort of rangy player, just fast and under the ball.
Wolford now gets the hand. Oh, he wasn't expecting it, Racker wasn't, but he breaks clear. Gets the ball over to Wycamp. Wycamp now looks for Clements. He can't take it. Xavier Watson drops the mark. Sid Masters gets it on his wrong foot, looks short. Kenny picks up the ball, gets rid of the handball. Intercepted by Great Flinders. He's tackled. He's gone. That's holding the ball umpire. What a great tackle. Jake Turner, 16-year-old, was a great. Now is he a left footer, I think?
Yes, he is.
So he's on the right, on his right side here to put a very, very important goal on the board for Eastern Air, mate.
And that was a very important tackle for a young fella, only 16 years of age, and he just grabbed him, wasn't going to let him go, and we'll see how he goes now. He'd be 20 metres out, and he comes in on the left.
Oh, that's a lovely
that's
kick.
Straight through the middle.
Beautiful kick. And that's definitely a contender of the EP Surf goal of the day. That was a great tackle, and it puts the Eastern Air side back in front. They now lead 3-5, 23 to Great Flinders, 3-4, 22 on the Boat Supplies scoreboard.
There's good people around here.
Yep.
Tell me about the community.
Well, every time I go back there, it's just, yeah, you'll just long to see these old faces. It's brilliant. It's like fucking, yeah, my missus gives me a fair bit of grief over it, but I put them all on, you know. They're all God to me, they're legends.
It's tremendous to see this hall full. It's really great to see such a big audience here tonight. I don't know whether any of you have heard about the blind man that was in Wharminda last harvest. Anyway, it's down there at the shop down at Terry's there, and it was harvest time and there was trucks going up and down the road. Gavin Masters carting about 15 loads a day. Burton's in their big semi going through all the time. And he had this seeing eye dog with him. He was his eyes, this dog. And he wanted to cross the road over to the other side of the road. And Terry was just sitting in the little foyer of the shop there watching him. And along comes Scott in the road, well, it's not a road train, it's just a semi, but the semi's coming along and this guide dog starts leading the blind man out there. Anyway, it just narrowly misses him. He's halfway across the road. Back comes Aidan on his 17th load coming the other way. He nearly cleans him up. And he just managed to get through to the other side of the road. Next thing, this blind man, he's got this little pouch in his pocket and he's pulling out those little dog biscuits and he's handing them to the dog and Terry's watching, what the hell's going on here? The bloke nearly got killed. That dog nearly caused him to lose his life and here he is feeding him some dog pellets. So Terry rushed across the road and said to him, what the hell are you doing that for? You nearly got killed there and now you're feeding him. Well, he said, actually, mate, I was just trying to find out which end his head was so I could kick him up the arse. Another character of the district that I'm sure many of you would know, he now lives in Cleve, and that's Rusty Foss. Well, Rusty, unfortunately, is not here this weekend, but they say, it's wobbling around a bit there, that's all right. Rusty was a great believer in the Chamberlain plough, apparently. They used to have one. And one of his more quoted sayings was, yes, well, first time over, she'll get out 100% of the stumps. Immediately followed by, yes, well, next time over, she'll get what's left behind. That was just one of the things. Apparently Rusty was a real character, and I'm sure there's many of you out here tonight that could tell many a funny story about Rusty, but apparently there used to be an air raid shelter southeast of where the main building is at the moment, and a little further on from that, kids have dug 2 trenches, about 20 odd yards apart, I think, and anyway, they flattened out this old tin and put it over the top. They'd spend all morning recess, they'd go around picking up all these rocks, collecting rocks, and they'd stash them in their little dugout in whichever side they were on. And then at dinner time, it should be on. Apparently they had these old bits of pipe that they used as telescopes, and the technique was you'd have your head down below ground level, you'd be looking through this bit of pipe. When the coast was clear, you quickly bob your head up, grab a rock and hurl it at the other guys on the other end, then you quickly bob down before you got one back yourself. Anyway, there were a few casualties along the way, I think. One day, apparently Ray Walton was looking through the telescope, getting ready to go, and a rock hit him in the eye. Another day, Gavin Masters stood up a bit too quickly and he copped one in the leg. Apparently, the other kids quickly came to their aid because they were a bit scared they'd go off crying and tell the teachers and then she'd be all over. But when both sides ran out of ammo, they'd have to call a truce and then they'd go and collect it all again. You can really imagine that sort of thing happening now. There'd be a fair hue and cry from everyone in the community, I think. Anyway, I think the next item on the program is just about ready to go.
Grow up, Audrey. Like a milk crate.
I said before, the people that have been in this club over the years, I moved down here in '84 and I married a local girl, and the that community was there. I mean, I'd keep talking about Sojourner and how close a community that used to be and everything else as well, but here I think it's even more predominant in that regard. And when something was on, everyone just holds bolus, and even to this day, the club's a lot smaller. But need a working bee, and like I said, came down here the idea of pulling marshmallows because they'd just grown that bloody big. Peter had been watering the bloody oval so it was easy to pull the bloody things out, and he probably didn't tell you these sort of things, but he was coming in every 8 hours from the farm to bloody move the bloody sprinkler or to bloody get it going again. And I said the other day, Peter, I live here, just let me know. He said, oh yeah, I've got John Sully's number as well, but anyway.
But it needed doing, so he just did it.
And so he advertised we wanted a working bee, and there would have been 25, 30, even a few young kids out as well. And we were out there for probably 3-4 hours and pulled a heap, and But that's just what they do here. It is. It's a great community, and that's why I suppose I'm very loath to see things disband as far as the your local footy league and things like that as well. So. This bloke here.
Is that Chris?
Bruce Hines.
Bruce
tough,
Hines, is it?
Tough, resilient. And, you had Stephen Horne across half back and had this bloke in the middle and hard as nails and without being dirty. And, a lot of blokes reckons, buddy, Hines is just a dirty mongrel bastard. But he wore a lot, he took a lot, and he wasn't afraid to give a bit back. And so when he came in, we must have been Dart Peak in the second semi. No, Cleve. So beat Cleve in the second semi. Dart Peak cleaned Cleve up in the prelim, and we played Dart Peak at Cleve in the Grandy, and
won.
But again, we're really lucky to have all those sort of blokes like Horne, Hinesy, Big Pete Shillabeer, the Lockwood boys, etc. It was a very combined unit. And then Hinesy the next year took over the role as coach, and Hinesy's words were, "No one remembers who comes second," and that got embedded in us that bloody much. That even now we always used to say, what Hines used to say, and no one remembers who comes second, and it resonates through all of us actually. That's 88. This must be 86.
These are amazingly comprehensive, aren't they?
Oh, they are. I just love looking through these. 85. We were. Actually,
I might just grab another camera and point it at the page. So what are we looking at?
85 is, first bloody 2 or 3 games we played in 85. Under Hines, he worked us bloody hard pre-season, and we got off to a bit of a slow start, maybe a bit of a premiership hangover, whatever you want to call it, but we took a little bit to get going that year, and then...
So he told you about it?
Oh yeah. That's the Hinesy way for sure.
I remember the prelim final, I was only 15. Bruce Hines had told us all day not to kick the ball back through the middle. And I reckon it was third quarter, I was on a half-back flank, picked it up, thought, yep, there's turns, I'll hit him up. And I went back through the middle. Brian Ramsey marked, I went down and kicked a goal. Hines gave me a serve right there and then for going back through the middle, and I thought, yep, cool, done with. Got back into it 3/4 time into the huddle. As you said, there's a couple of thousand people there, so the huddle's quite a big crowd. And he has just ripped me a new one. I wasn't going getting the ball back near the middle for the rest of the day.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learnt, and since then I've been pretty much,
That seems like you remember it.
Oh yeah, no, fairly clearly.
But again, he really instilled stuff into us that even when you're left footy, in your day-to-day life, it sort of still carries on in different forms and fashions. But so 85, we got up and going. And
well, certainly this headline back here sort of sums up how you started. Cleve easily wins forgettable game.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't turn up quite that day.
No, we were a bit flat. A couple of those games. I mean, Cleve beat us, Dart Peak beat us in those first couple of games. Dart Peak, the very first game, actually gave us quite a touch-up.
There was a bit of payback for the grand final.
Oh yeah, I'd say so, yeah. But, and then the following week, Cleve came out and gave us a bit of a bloody touch-up as well.
By 5.5 goals. So
Yeah.
touch up. I
Considering
see
that-
there's a Clements in there. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're right. Look, we also had. I reckon that's the first year Dave Fowzer came along too. Chuck Fowzer from down Ungara, and he was a gun. He was quick, hard, not necessarily hard, but if you get near him, but if you got in his way, he could go straight through you.
David Fowzer, he played a real lot of centre in there. He was just so bloody fast. I can remember we'd have sprints. We'd usually finish off training with sprints. You'd start on your stomach, lying down, and line of us 6 all lined up and go, and everyone sprint from one side of the square to the other, and no one could ever catch Chuck.
You know he's only going 3/4.
Yeah, he just blew everyone away.
He's a sub 10 second sprinter if he wants to be.
Yeah, he could turn it on when he wanted to, but most of the time, 3/4 was fast enough to blow anyone out of the water. So.
We're also getting a couple of young blokes like John Masters starting to play a bit of footy. Not sure if Chris Prime, no, Chris is a year after, I reckon, 88. And so, 86, sorry. But got away with a couple of games early in the piece, a couple of good wins.
Starting to come good here. Well, of course, Arno Bay were probably not travelling real well at that point, but what about the week after? Oh, there you go, Dark Peak in the return game by 2 points.
Yeah, she was a close one. And then Cleve the week after that, where did we go there? They got us again.
They did too. Fairly easily.
Yeah. There, and then we had some big wins in amongst it. Again, poor old buddy Arno and Rudau, etc. took some bit of heat from us. But the 85 was one of those years we actually got ourselves up and going. We had a few injuries through the year, and then from that got to. I'm just trying to think. I reckon we played Dark Peak in a prelim final, if I remember rightly, and we were going okay, and then got to the grand final, and Gav Masters, who normally plays centre half back, he actually ended up breaking a bone in his ankle, and but kept playing. And,
here we go with David Fowzer, restricted after straining. A driver muscle at training, Rick Will, shoulder and flu, David head flu, Bruce Hines, concussed, Freeman unfit, and then it says, I broke my ankle just before half time, but come back on for the rest of the game, but wasn't any use. So that was we just had a bit of bad luck that year, we'll say, in 1985.
But you came back on.
Came back. Oh yeah, because we were that, we're in all sorts of trouble with injuries, and so they just sat me in the forward pocket, but they didn't do a hell of a lot.
Just say that. You kicked the goal, didn't you? It said.
No, I don't know about that.
Well, I think that's right.
It says there though.
I was reading it over your shoulder, sorry.
Okay. No, anyway, just.
That was back in the day when a broken bone wasn't going to stop you.
That's right. Yeah.
Big Gav went right, didn't he?
I remember I've watched a lot of Gav play, you just see this flash of red and then these big baseball mitts go up and he'd just pluck them every time. He'd just pluck them. I know, he used to take me to cricket. I was playing A grade with him. I hadn't been bloody, we'd have our compulsory few beers on the way home and he'd drop me off in the ute and fucking back to the old farmhouse, and I'd get out a bit bloody fuzzy all the time. It was good. He's a legend.
Bloke, of course, he played footy with.
Yeah, he's strong. They talk about John Humphreys and how good he was at centre half forward. Gav's been the bloke that I've watched time and time again over the years, but who could beat him? And just because of his strength and without trying to outmark him or anything, it was just get the ball on the ground. Because John was great in the air, he wasn't as good on the ground. Gav, you could play him centre half forward, centre half back. He's a tough old soul, Gav. No, good mate of mine, real good mate. But funny thing was I moved down to Great Flinders, and the very next year, and we're playing association footy, or more like Shield, and Gav was centre half back and I was centre half forward.
How'd you go?
I think Gav got the better of me, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, well, the Masters, they always go all right, don't they?
Oh, they do. They're very, very tough customers.
No, that's right. That was Hines' first year as coach. He'd played in the '84 Premiership, and then in '85 Horne left, Stephen Horne, and Hines took on the coaching. And he really installed a mental toughness into the team. Like, he'd had a lot of time at Norwood, and he was a real hard nut, Hines. He was a very skilled, great footballer, but he was a real hard nut, and he knew how to win. He sort of taught us how to intimidate the other teams quite a bit, and you just got that way that you knew you could beat them. We'd psych them out of it before the game even started. Really, you could see the confidence that he could build in the group. You'd go through certain things in the change rooms and make sure they could hear you next door well and truly, and do the same thing out on the oval. And he was a master tactician as well, Hines. But he installed the toughness. I think he lost '85, he won '86 and '87 as coach, and then Rick Will took it on in '88, and he sort of continued on with Hines' pretty tough mental approach. Rick was pretty tough as well, and they were very good mentors, those three coaches. Not to say that they didn't have something to work with beforehand. You know, the guys that had been there had sort of been building up gradually, but they just came along at the right time and
expected a bit more of it.
Yeah. I think most people you would talk to in my era, like Peter Prime or any of his brothers, would tell you that probably Bruce Hines was the one that really instilled the how to win into us. Yeah.
There's the prelim final score there. So we only just got over the top of Dart Peak.
Yeah, scores deadlocked at half-time, or 1 point the difference.
Big Gav there, I reckon, remember rightly. And so we got ourselves in the grand final, and from that, we just one of those days we just couldn't finish it off. So, but, like Hines says, no one remember who comes second.
So you've forgotten that one already?
Pretty much, yeah. We'll skip on to '86. It's another. Again, Hines is back on the reins, but he taking on, and again we picked up another couple of boys, handy players. David Head, again, a very solid, just on baller type thing.
Where was he from?
He coached out at Rudow, I reckon, the year before, was it?
I reckon he went to Rudow for a year, and he's from Wharminda. So
yeah, we were local lad, my next door neighbour. So.
Butch Kitson. Hetty must have left that year, I reckon. Gavin Masters. Kim Shepherd. But again, got over the top of Cleve, Dart Peak. We were this year '86. I think was probably one of our more telling years. When we won big. And we had some fairly crucial sort of games in amongst it. Same thing again. I reckon we got through mid-year, and I reckon we lost a couple of games mid-year. And from that, again, when everyone started shearing and all those sort of things, and getting on tractors, off tractors, he just took a bit of a fair old toll. peek at Rudell. Yeah, that's right. But he
But they beat you in the the major semi or
second semi.
Yep.
Yep. So then we came up against Cleve in the, I reckon that was down at, what was that cow? Prelim final.
2,000 odd spectators.
Mm. She was very good years, those.
For a prelim.
Prelim final, yeah. But we gave, again, was it that game or was it another one? Hines, you know, as I said, you know, he's tough, but this one bloke had a bit of a crack at him, and anyway, Hines turned around, and this bloke's buddy standing up to Hines, and Hines just latched onto his nose, just like this, and just took him down to his knees, and he said, oh, like this, and Hines just turned around to the umpire and said, "You saw him, didn't you?" Was it Philip Lighthouse, I reckon, from Far West? "You saw him, Philip. It came out at me like a mad dog." He said, "Yes, Bruce, it's your free. Thank you." let his nose go, came back, had his kick. Oh, it was.
And umpires were.
Yeah.
But a bit more real too, yeah.
But Hines, he's one of the first ones I saw do the old buddy, the old...
Don't argue.
Don't argue. And it was just a quick slap in the chest and bang, and old Kurt should be out here on the wing, but he receiving a handball, and he was good, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hines used to be as a schoolboy, he was a Golden Gloves state champ. So, yeah. He used to wear these glasses just for protection of his eyes because he had a bad eye injury before he came to Port Neill. And yeah, this one particular day, I won't mention any names, a bloke from Arna Bay, as it turned out, had a bit of a go at him and knocked his glasses off and that. And there was a very quick little movement and that bloke had finished his day.
So yeah, he got to the grand final in about 86 and cleaned up Dart Peak.
And stormed home.
17-14 to 7-8.
Errol Duke, is that a pen name or a real bloke?
That's a real bloke. Errol used to work in the State Bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he loved us.
And he was Mr. Football model.
Yeah, he got right in amongst it actually while he was here. But no, again, that was a great year. Again, we were, I suppose, always going to be tough to beat, but I just considered that, you know, with the blokes that we didn't lose anyone from the previous year, and you know, with a couple of injuries, and we picked up another one or two blokes. Just trying to think, lost Hetty, but we a couple of young blokes like Brenton Solly came up from Tumby Bay, and there's John Masters, Crispy Prime, they sort of came into it.
Yep.
We were lucky, like Andy Prime, like he was left footer, very, very good bloody user of the ball.
Great centreman, apparently.
Yep, very good centreman. We were lucky. Our on-ballers, I consider to be probably the best in the association for all those years. In Andy Prime, Michael Perkins, Hinesy, then you throw in like Brad Davies on a wing, a couple others. But at half back line, again, you know, it was bloody just run all day and just didn't concede bugger all. Mick Will, cousin Mick, he played full back. He would just run hard the boys, 6'2" or something, and, you know, pretty mobile, good left footer. Just trying to think, David Fowzer, he's the other bloke I was thinking about in the centre. He was just go, go, go.
It's not like they were playing for big money up here at the time?
No money at that time of the year, those years. I got offered $100 a game to go down and play for Tumby Bay. One of these years, but I think it might have been 86 actually.
Because there was a little bit of money around Great Flinders at that time.
Yeah, it was just enough to sort of encourage a few to have a bit of a dip at it, I suppose. But 87's not there.
Our son Peter was in a team
Pardon?
Our son Peter was in a team and the scores were level and it was the end of coming up. So he marked the ball. It was a fair way out. Somebody yelled out to him, "Kick the goal, Pete." And he turned around and kicked it. Straight through the middle.
Wow.
No, that was at Rudell.
Yeah, I can still see him standing there and sort of, what do I do?
I disagree. I reckon that was a dark peak. Pretty certain. Yeah.
20 written on the
yeah. And he used to always play in the half back line, and he found himself at half forward. There wasn't a 50 at the time, and took the mark and drilled it in the last quarter. Yeah. I don't know about scores being levels, but it certainly helped the situation.
And Peter was only...
He was only just, it's his first year.
About his first or second year he played.
It was his first year.
And...
all the Port Neill people standing around him, "Peter, just kick the goal."
He did.
Peter was
terrific. I think that was the year that Rick Will, he had, must have got cleaned up and stuffed his shoulder up, but still went on and took marks, and he just could kick one around the body from miles out to put us out. Rick was bloody tough too, because pain didn't mean anything to him. He'd just still get out there and go and do what was required. You weren't going to go off because your shoulder was a bit sore in a grand final. No, he was a bloody hard man too.
This one, 1988. This was a big year.
What was big about it?
Well, I don't think they lost a game, and they were clearly the best team. The budgets were just whoever did them for the week, and
so all sorts of design inputs.
Oh.
These are pretty precious, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely one-off, irreplaceable gems.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But trying for the hat trick.
So 88, the last year at Port Neill.
Yeah, this is the year I coached. And
how'd you come to coach?
Well, Hines, he moved. No, he didn't. No, he gave up. He retired from footy. He and Mike Freeman both bloody retired from footy at the same time. Mick Freeman's half-back flanker. His father won a bloody male medal years and years ago, if I remember rightly.
Michael Freeman, yeah, Evan's uncle. He's played in 3, was it? 4. 4.
3 didn't play the last.
Did you retire the last one?
That was at number 6.
Yep.
Hines, he said, no, he's had enough. And anyway, so I put my hand up and got the job. Very lucky, and I keep saying that with Horne the first year down here as a coach, Hines to, I suppose, instill a lot into the players that were already there as well. We picked up 1 or 2 other pretty handy players, if I remember rightly. What was it say? ideal replacement for both past coach Bruce Hines. Took the club into 3 grand finals.
An ideal replacement.
Yeah, apparently. But it was weird, you know, all of a sudden you've got the helm and the reins of it and...
Big shoes.
Yeah, bloody oath, especially after the previous 4 years.
Yeah, you didn't want to fail.
No, not particularly. I didn't like losing, that's for sure.
At the completion of the first round, this was the story. A grade, Peter Prime, Port Neill, 29, Chris Prime, 23.
At the end of the which round?
At the completion of the first round in 1988.
So after 4 games?
Yeah. I don't think, yeah, the strength of Port's forward line was evident with Peter Prime and Michael Perkins kicking 9 goals each, and C Prime and B Bear 8 goals each.
This year especially, we got to a grand final with pretty much not a great deal different from the previous year. Other clubs have picked up a few, lost a few type thing, but...
And a lot of the players retired after 1998. I don't think Peter played for Arno at all, did he? He played
I
B
think he
grade.
did last year.
Did he?
He played A grade, I think.
But Chris...
Port wouldn't have had a B grade or a Colts had they gone on. They were, you know, so lacking in numbers. So we were lucky to win that last premiership.
Yeah.
Another
TD
cut
again.
off from Tom Dave. That's the second time he's done that this quarter. And finds Jimmy Hanneman in the forward pocket. Looks up for Sid.
Yeah,
And lace out.
he was in front. Sid, you can't let him in front. You got to be standing on the side of him.
Yeah, he just held his space nicely there, didn't he?
So
Sid lining up now. Comes in. Yeah.
too easy, never in doubt.
No, did not overkick that one, just beautifully steered that one through.
The state country full forward, played very well over in West Australia apparently.
Yeah, kicked 3, I believe, 3-2. Got the best players.
Oh, and each time someone wrote a poem. It was the night before finals when through every house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. So it goes on that vein all around it, but it tells you about they carried their load with great skill down the field. Peter topped off his day with a goal-kicking shield. Goals didn't come easy. Here's where SO1 takes a bow when he slipped round that sideline and showed us all how. Then big-hearted Mick, with a will of his own, played fullback with such power, leaving no ball to roam.
In closing tonight, I'd like to thank all the cast for their magnificent effort tonight. Just a reminder that tomorrow morning's official program commences at 10:30 a.m. with a Thanksgiving and Remembrance service at the school. And this is to be followed by a barbecue lunch at 1:30 and district tour by bus. We hope you've all enjoyed the concert and we invite you all to stay for supper afterwards. Good night all. the service was going to be at the school, it's going to be at the hall. Sorry about that one. Good night, thank you.
Have you got a bit of footage off this? Is that all been recorded or not?
Recorded the whole time, so we've got great stuff. Let me put that together and then...
And edit it, you take a lot of crap out.
Tell us about this trainer's outfit. Banger?
Well, worn it to a few, it's kept in the cupboard for a fair few years, and I'd worn it to a few parties. That's when I was a bit more trimmer, but yeah, I reckon Chompy Masters gave that to me, and I thought it was too good to not frame up, so it's in the shed, but...
So you obviously were a trainer there?
No, Dad,
never?
Dad was, but no, I only played mini colts and colts there. I was never a trainer.
Yeah, but you got a trainer's outfit, so there you go. They are good people there, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, what's in your photos there?
So this is the only bit of footage that I'm allowed, the only bit of memorabilia that I'm allowed in the house. The rest is out in the shed, but yeah, it's only my little claim to fame with anything ever won, but me and my brother are the mascots in the '88 grand final. And yeah, just looking at these good looking roosters, it always has a bit, makes me laugh a bit, but with a bowl cut. Dad looks the same in all the training photos. He's there with Uncle Rick and all the rest of them.